Now, recently released former detainees have told CNN that a prominent Palestinian hospital director, Dr. Abu Safiya, the director of Gamal Adwan Hospital in Gaza, who was abducted by Israel in a raid that closed the last major functioning health facility in northern Gaza, is being held at a controversial military base that doubles as a detention facility. A number of protest actions have been planned worldwide in solidarity and demanding his release. We're joined now by Nazreena Hassim, a physiotherapist with the as well as a committee member rather, and co-chair of the Western Cape Events for Healthcare Workers for Palestine, South Africa. Assalamu alaikum, Juma Mubarak. Shukran for joining us.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and Juma Mubarak to all the listeners.
Nazreena, a really tragic series of events have been unfolding in the Gaza Strip in the last year or so. We know that the raid in which Israel abducted this Palestinian hospital director also closed the last major functioning health facility in northern Gaza. Of course, we also know that at the same time, uh, the relentless bombardment campaign, the genocidal war, has not ended. What is it like, if we could sympathize and empathize with the healthcare workers in Palestine who are trying their very best to assist people every day with the many injuries that they're presenting, but also on short resources?
So, as healthcare workers, generally, I think worldwide, globally, we are just horrified because healthcare facilities and healthcare workers are supposed to be protected under international law. And unfortunately, Israel has completely made international law meaningless with their bombardment and annihilation of the healthcare sector in Gaza. And as healthcare workers, we feel the only way to assist them at this point is to show some solidarity by protesting and raising our voices, because there's not much else we can do. It's almost a helpless feeling being on the outside and not being able to get in.
Now, have you been in touch with some of the healthcare workers in Gaza? Have you been able to make some sort of contact with them and perhaps speak to them and get a sense of what their experiences are like?
So personally, for myself, I have been in touch with one particular doctor who actually suffers from a chronic disease and had to move away from the hospitals because of his own health. Their mood is very low. However, saying that, they are very grateful to South Africa in particular for standing by them through everything. They've seen what we've done with the ICC and the ICJ. They are absolutely grateful, and they know that South Africans stand beside them. The mood generally, though, is very low. They're constantly being bombarded. Any healthcare temporary facility that they put up, within a few days get annihilated, and they just have to restart all over again. But as a South African looking, or as a healthcare worker looking from the outside, their resilience is just phenomenal on another level. Like they call it in Gaza, sumud. It's just another something to behold.
Coming back to Dr. Abu Safiya, of course, correctly so, there's quite a bit of outrage across the world, not just in South Africa, but healthcare workers across the globe quite upset at this, and people who generally just sympathize with the Palestinian cause. What was the work that he was involved in, if you could tell us a little bit about that, that made it so important and made him such a threat to the occupation forces that they had to then abduct him?
Okay, so as we all know, Dr. Abu Safiya has been trying for weeks to get the international community to send assistance to Gamal Adwan Hospital, which was the last functioning hospital and pediatric ICU in Gaza. He was very vocal. He sent out so many social media posts, and he was very well respected. Even more so for his refusal to leave the hospital, to abandon his patients. Even after the Israeli military killed his son, he continued. He was injured, and he continued from his hospital bed to run the hospital, to make sure his patients were taken care of, and to try and get the message out to the global community to please help. He was an absolute threat to the IOF because of those reasons.
Now, in fact, just in front of me here, I've got a protest action alert calling for the public to join a protest against the destruction of Gaza's healthcare system, as well as Dr. Hassam's abduction. What can you tell us about the events that will be unfolding today? I think today being the main day of protest in this regard.
Yes, so actually we received a call from the Global Group of Healthcare Workers for Palestine to show some support for what they dubbed the Global Week for Gaza Hospitals. We took it upon ourselves to organize a protest action taking place today in Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Durban from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. In Cape Town, it will be held outside Red Cross Children's Hospital. That's on the corner of Klipfontein and Milner. And in Durban, it is being held outside St. Augustine's Hospital. And in Johannesburg, it is being held in Rivonia Road between the Discovery buildings and the U.S. Consulate buildings. We are calling on everyone to join.
Yes, please continue.
And we would love if healthcare workers who do come out, please come out in the medical attire to show their solidarity for our Gazan colleagues.
Are you expecting a good turnout, especially considering it is still the holiday period and people still might be off to visit family and elsewhere?
We are hoping for a good turnout across the country. We can't predict any of that. And we do understand that it is holidays and people are still traveling back home and enjoying the last bit of their festivities. However, in Cape Town, we have had some Dr. Abu Safiya will be joining us as well. And I'm sure that people will come out to support us.
All right. All the best to yourself and the team as you prepare and organize and obviously pull this off later today, Friday, the 3rd of January, between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. in Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Durban, where various protest actions will be taking place against the destruction of Gaza's healthcare and the abduction of Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya. Nazreena, shukran so much for your time this morning.
Shukran so much for having me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was Nazreena Hassim, a physiotherapist, as well as committee member and co-chair of the Western Cape Events for Healthcare Workers for Palestine, South Africa. She was speaking to us about the various protest actions that are going to be taking place later today. Of course, as we know, the prominent Palestinian hospital director, Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya, who was abducted by Israel in a raid that closed the Kamal Adwan Hospital, which was the last major functioning healthcare facility in northern Gaza. And released former detainees have told the outlet CNN that he is being held at a controversial military base. This military base doubles as a detention facility as well. Of course, we know he has not been seen publicly since Israeli forces raided the hospital, and staff members also saying that Israeli forces started a fire in the hospital and rounded them all up outside, forced them to remove their clothes. And this, of course, a process that took hours before they were forced to leave. Serious situation coming out of Gaza. And that story continuing to unfold before our eyes. It's more than a year since Israel launched its genocidal attacks in Gaza in October of 2023. We'll take a break right now. When we come back, we'll continue with the show. In fact, we're going to be wrapping up soon. Stay with us.